Does it say it's recording now? Where's the recording thing? Oh, it looks like it is. Doesn't tell me like it normally does. All right. All right, so we are recording. Hi, everyone. My name is Elena Ashley, and I am the founder and CEO of Ashley Consulting and Training, as well as our new training brand, ashleytrainingonline.com. And I just realized my video is not on, so I'm putting it on right now. There we go. We provide professional services and training in the area of business intelligence, otherwise known as data analytics these days, data security, and data privacy. So we are all things data. We're excited to be launching our new IoT, the Internet of Things training and certification, starting in September through our partnership with CertNexus. And we currently actually offer the only European Union recognized data protection officer training and certification through our partnership with the International Association of Privacy Professionals, otherwise known as IAPP. So obviously we would love for you to check out our sites, and I will throw those into the chat a little bit later. Now, of course, the reason we're all here today is that we are excited to have a couple of fantastic guest speakers with us today. Colleagues, I almost said former colleagues, but they're not former, they're still colleagues, and successful entrepreneurs both in their own right. Jonathan Wu, who will be moderating our conversation today, and Jim Wirth, who is our guest speaker and will be presenting, or I should say sharing with us, his very successful Kickstarter campaign, which is a form of crowdfunding. So for those of you entrepreneurs out there listening in, this will be great information for you. And he is definitely going to be sharing with you a lot of great information. So without further ado, I would love for Jonathan to go ahead and introduce himself. I'm going to stop the introduction screen here. I'm just going to turn off the share. And Jonathan, please go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody.
Okay, thanks, Elena. Yeah, it's been some time that we've worked together, as well as working with Jim Wirth, and I see Laurel Hansen is on right now as well. So, you know, my background ranges from information technologies to, business advisory type services. Currently I'm a angel investor, business advisor, and I'm looking forward to hearing Jim talk about his Kickstarter campaign. So I'll turn it over to Jim.
Hi, this is Jim Wirth.
Hi, Jim.
On the screen, I still see Jonathan there. So I worked with Jonathan for many years. We started a business together back in the mid-90s, and Elena worked with us for a number of years as well. So that stopped around 2006 when Jonathan and I both moved on and did different things. Like Jonathan, I do some angel investing. I do some advisory work for startups. I recently actually launched a new business, so I'm the CEO of a knife brand. I've always enjoyed collecting knives, and so the Kickstarter project that I ended up doing is it's not related to the knife industry at all. It's actually another sole proprietorship that I had set up a while ago. My son, at the time he was 14, taught me how to 3D model. And so the knife community that I'm a part of is also kind of, we call ourselves the EDC community. If people are familiar with the term EDC, it stands for everyday carry. So pocket knife, flashlight, a pen, maybe a cool coin or a little worry stone. So I had, with the skills that my 14-year-old had taught me in 3D modeling, I taught myself how to do some 3D modeling with him, and designed a couple of products. And I was having them made kind of one-off through a 3D printing service company in metal, and people were buying them from me. So I decided, this is something that actually could take off if I could have them mass-produced, where I didn't have to make them one at a time, and could find a much cheaper way to make them. So basically, decided to do a Kickstarter to make that happen. And so the products that I designed were a coin, kind of a challenge coin, and then 2 different styles of kind of worry stones to carry in the pocket. And fidget with, really. And you're probably familiar with the fidget spinners, right? The big craze of fidget spinners has happened. So those are also something to carry in the pocket, just kind of keep you entertained throughout the day. So my products were themed around Carpe Diem, seize the day. And basically, the coin, has a message for people, make the most of today. And you'll see some examples of that in my campaign, my Kickstarter campaign, when I show that here on the screen in a minute. But so basically, my Kickstarter campaign launched in December, mid-December. It was I don't know what that sound was. It was a 30-day campaign. I set a goal of $4,000, which would basically allow me to hit the minimum order quantities from my manufacturer on the coins. And after the 30 days ended on Kickstarter, I ended up doing about 11,000% of that goal. So I did $44,000 on Kickstarter instead of $40,000, or instead of $4,000.
Wow!
And then and then when I sent the surveys out after the Kickstarter campaign, I used a service that allows you to sell additional product through the survey, and I'll show that process as well. And I did another $20,000 in revenue on the surveys. So all in all, on a $4,000 goal with a couple of products that I designed at home and used sort of third-party services to create for me, I brought in about $65,000 in revenue. And now I have a ready audience of, I guess I had about 850 backers on my campaign from 36 different countries. And they are all eager to see what I come up with next. And so I'm in the process of designing, additional coins to kind of add. I have some notes. I'm going to look down here real quick at my notes. So before I show you, what the campaign looks like on Kickstarter, some of the most important things actually need to happen before you put your campaign up, and it's all in the planning. So the first thing I would recommend, if anybody's thinking about doing a Kickstarter campaign, and I'll take a quick step back. So Kickstarter, when it first started, it was mostly a place for companies that wanted to launch a new product or a new invention, and they needed the money. And it still works this way for a number of companies, but they need the money to invest in equipment or in materials or whatever they need to bring that product to fruition. So they might have a prototype, but they need to raise a lot of money. So, they're probably not the kind of a company that's going to be able to go out to a VC firm, venture capital firm, or to, private investors and raise the money they need so they can put up a campaign on Kickstarter. And there's other platforms as well, like Indiegogo, and they can run a campaign and take pledges, and they can raise money that way. And then typically they give rewards to the people that make the pledges. So what I would suggest, if anybody's thinking about doing a Kickstarter, is to familiarize yourself with Kickstarter, to go on and to review projects. There's a bunch of different categories that you can, sort by, and you can, kind of look and see what's been successful in the past. You can see, the completed projects. You can see which ones have been successfully funded. You can see which ones failed. And, if you start to kind of familiarize yourself with what works and what doesn't work for campaigns, I think it'll help a lot in putting your own campaign together. And then back a couple of projects, as a backer. If you see a cool product out there, and it's within your budget, just go ahead and put out a pledge for it and back it. And then you'll experience what it's like to be a part of the process then going forward until the campaign ends, and then ultimately receive your product from the company. So the next step really is, when it comes to your own product idea, make sure that you can deliver what you're going to be putting out there on your campaign. So make prototypes, right? So I had already designed and was selling these 3 products, so I knew the process worked for having them made, and I then kind of figured out ways to even get them made more cheaply. So I was 3D printing these challenge coins. I don't know if you can see this challenge coin here. So I was 3D printing these one at a time through Shapeways. It basically says, time flies, remember death on the front, kind of morbid. Yeah, I'm sorry. And then on the back, it says, carpe diem, make an incredible life. And but to have them made one at a time through Shapeways, it costs about $17 a coin. And so I had to sell them for about $40 each, to actually, have it make any sense. But I sold a lot of them. So I decided to go to a professional coin minting company, and I used another service online, actually, which is a great sort of a sidebar really quick. There's a website called 99 Designs. If you're looking for a product logo or a company logo or any kind of graphic design work, t-shirt design, whatever, you can start a contest on this website called 99 Designs, and people will join on, artists will join on and submit artwork, and then you can kind of narrow it down to finalists, and then you can select the winner, and then they get paid what you put in at the front of the various levels. There's several different levels that you can say you want to create a contest at. I think it was like $299, and I got some really great artwork. So I had the concept in mind for my coin that I had already designed and printed, but I wanted it sort of redone with professional artwork, and I'm not an artist. So I ended up getting my artwork that way. And then I found a mint that could take that artwork and actually mint the coins for around $3 each versus $17 each.
And what was that company?
What's that, Elena?
And what was that company?
It's actually the oldest mint. There's a number of coin minting companies or challenge coin minting companies around the country. This one happens to be the oldest mint in the country. They made President Lincoln's inaugural tokens or coins that he had. I mean, yeah, they've been around since like the 1840s or something, minting tokens, saloon tokens, that kind of stuff. So yeah, pretty neat company to work with. So again, have prototypes, and make sure your product is going to be able to be, delivered on at the end of the campaign. And then test the production process. Know your manufacturing process, and kind of figure out what your timelines are going to need to be. And then get commitments on costs and timeframes from any suppliers. So I ended up having the coin mint company. I had Shapeways making some of the product. I had another foundry up in Seattle casting some of the products. And then I had a good friend of mine who makes leather goods, because I had leather sleeves for the products to go in to be carried in your pocket. And then I needed some small cards printed for packaging material. So I had a local printing company that I had to work with to get all of the artwork and everything printed for me. So, you got to kind of put together, what's the end result, and who are all the, partners that you're going to need throughout that process, and make sure you get the commitments on the costs and the timeframes. Because once you get your campaign up, you want to make sure you can deliver on what you are telling people you're going to do. Mm-hmm. And then, third thing, again, just super important to anticipate all the costs. So that because you're going to need to be able, if you're giving backer rewards like I did, my rewards were my product. So basically, I used Kickstarter rather than a way to raise capital as an investment tool, or to have investors come in. I used it like most people seem to be using it this way these days, in the way of pre-selling a product. So I had a product, I wanted to basically take pre-orders and then have that allow me to determine what my quantity to order from the manufacturer would be. So I knew I had, for the coins was the biggest deal, I had a minimum quantity of 250 pieces in each of 3 different metals that I wanted to offer. So that's kind of how I set my goal on Kickstarter was, I needed to raise at least this much money to hit those minimum order quantities. Right. So again, I needed to put those backer rewards into my campaign, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. So I needed to understand, what were all the costs that were going into, each of the products for manufacturing, what were all of my packaging costs, what was I going to spend on promoting it? Was I going to buy any advertising through Facebook or Instagram? And then Kickstarter actually charges a fee of 5%. So whatever you raise, they take 5% of that. So you got to kind of factor that in. And then if you're going to use a survey service like I did, I used a company called BackerKit, and I'm going to show you that as well. and they take anywhere from 3 to 5%, depending on the particular solution you purchase from them. And then you got to decide if you're going to charge for shipping or not, because if you're going to offer free shipping, you got to factor that into your costs. And then the final step before you actually put your Kickstarter campaign up or start building your campaign is, try to, really know your market, understand your market. And I did, luckily, because I've been part of this, knife collector, everyday carry community for the past, 35 years. And most recently, in the past 10 years, I've been attending, 3 or 4 or 5 big, I don't know if the knife show, but basically they're kind of everyday carry shows. Like I just got back from one in Atlanta, and that's my day job is I'm the CEO of this knife company. So we had a booth at the show, and we were basically selling our knives at the show. But all these guys and gals that come to the show are people that are looking for cool things to carry in their pockets. So I know that community really, really well, and I knew that they already liked my products. So know your market, know who your customers are going to be, and then build a network in a social media following before you try launching a Kickstarter campaign. So if you don't have a network, if you don't have a community of people to reach out to and show what you're offering, nobody's going to really find out about your Kickstarter campaign, and it's not going to do very well. So for me, luckily, I've kind of built up a following on Instagram over the past, 3, 4, 5 years. I've got like maybe 11,000 followers on Instagram. And then some of the guys that I work with in the knife company, I knew they would promote my campaign as well. And they each have around 40,000 followers on Instagram. So right away, I knew just through Instagram, I'd be able to reach a ton of people. And then you also want to build and there's articles online, really good articles. I think BackerKit actually, which is the survey company I use, they have a really good article about how to build an email distribution list. Because when you launch your campaign, you want to blast out the notice to as many people as you possibly can. So you're going to want to try to build an email distribution list to use for announcing your campaign. So that's everything you need to do before you actually create your campaign. So I'm going to actually jump so I can, as I talk through this, I'm going to jump to my campaign and see if I can, let me see, desktop, share screen. Bear with me a minute here. Let me close that. I put my cheaters on. Okay. So this is my my Kickstarter campaign. So, 2 things you're going to really need right up front is a really good story to tell, because you're going to want to write that story out, and you're going to want to have a really good video. Again, go watch go look at a number of different Kickstarter campaigns and watch the videos that the Successful Campaigns put up, and you'll start to get a sense of what draws people in, what's a good hook to kind of get them to watch the video. What's compelling for people. So I'm not going to play my video. It's about 2.5 minutes long. So when you build your campaign, you have the main picture that as people are searching for campaigns, they'll see this image. So I basically put up my 3 pieces. This is the Carpe Diem coin. This I call the Tempus Fugit Curio, because again, on the coin, Tempus Fugit, time flies, and Memento Mori, remember death. So the way I represented that with my artwork was a skull with a watch gear. That's basically in any mechanical watch or clock, that's the gear that allows the seconds to tick by, and then a couple of hourglasses. So the whole front of the coin is representing, time is fleeting, and the death is around the corner. Again, sorry, it's kind of morbid. The back of the coin is a little bit more optimistic. And then so one of the worry stone pieces is just this skull with the watch gear in it, and it's kind of a mirror image on either side. And again, most of the people that are part of the knife community, they all have beards and tattoos, and they love skulls. So the skulls play really well with that audience. And then this is just another worry stone that I had designed and kind of made a one-off of. Each of these pieces I had done a one-off of for myself and showed pictures on Instagram, and so many people liked them and so many people wanted to know how they could get one And that's what kind of prompted the idea of, making them available to sell them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm just going to ignore the stuff on the right for a minute, because that's all of the various pledge levels as you scroll down. The stuff in the main part of the screen here is the actual campaign. So you can see that my campaign was Carpe Diem EDC, Seize the Day. And then it was a goal of $4,000, and $44,000 was raised. I had 793 backers on Kickstarter, and then I had another maybe 60 or so backers come in through the backer kit survey. So basically, the way I laid out my campaign was I followed kind of what I saw as the best practices that other people had done. So I basically kind of tell the story a little. I'm not expecting anybody to read this. If you could just go do a search on Kickstarter for Carpe Diem EDC, and you'll find this, and you can go through it. But I kind of tell my story. This thing here featured on Backer Club. I'm going to touch upon that again a little bit later. But once you launch a campaign, and if it's successful in the early days, you'll get a lot of unsolicited emails from places that want to sell you something. They want to sell you, and most of them are advertising. They want to sell you a service to advertise your campaign. Mm-hmm. And this organization actually seemed like a pretty good deal for me, because they have their members, the backerclub.co, their members are all kind of, I don't know what they call themselves, but they're kind of big time Kickstarter backers. They back a lot of campaigns. So they join this thing, Backer Club, and Backer Club kind of, presents to them some of the best campaigns out there. Of course, they charge you for that. So they charge the people that are creating the campaigns for that. So I forget what I paid for them, but they promoted my campaign for me through Backer Club. And part of the deal was I had to, show this on my campaign. I tell them what the use of funds is going to be. The funds from the campaign are going to use to cover the minimum order quantities from the manufacturer for my coins. So then I go in and explain, what's the Carpe Diem coin? I explain exactly what it is, what the dimensions are, what the various finishes are that it'll come in. So I actually had the three main finishes for the large quantities, and then I also ended up offering it in silver, and the minimum order quantity for the silver ones was 100 pieces. So I show pictures of everything. People love to see exactly what they're going to get. So I show, here's the coin in antique silver finish. Oh, and so on the back side, again, a little bit more positive, optimistic. It's Carpe Diem, seize the day, right? You got a tree of life there. You have across the top half, it says, make an incredible life. And on the bottom half, the opposite of memento mori is remember death is remember to live. So memento vivere, I guess is right. So I offer it in copper and silver. So boom. So there's the coins that you can back. And then so next is this Tempus Fugit Curio for time. Tempus Fugit for time flies. Again, describe exactly what they're going to get. I show them the finishes. I actually include some videos of the pieces to show them kind of what in the light, what each piece looks like back and front. The next piece I call the Memento Mori stone. Again, it's just a worry stone for people to carry, a reminder that death is waiting. So enjoy today, make the most of today. Show all the finishes of those. Talk a little bit more about the materials that some of them are made in. Show some nice close-up images. This one's on one of the little leather sleeves that you can get for the pieces. Talk about how they're going to patina, just to make sure people understand if they buy a piece in raw silver, it's going to end up getting a tarnish over time. So I show how shoot. No, I don't know what I did. Oh wait, now I know what I did. Let me go back to here. Sorry.
No worries.
Go back to here. All right. So and this is just all part of telling you the story and showing the products. Go back down. So those. I think I was right around here. Mm-hmm. The silver. I show how the raw brass is going to end up darkening and getting a patina over time. Then I tell kind of the background and what the design inspirations were for me. And it's just kind of a nice story about what made me think of doing this in the first place. And, I'm trying to basically really engage with people that would come to this. And the feedback that I got from a lot of people, most of which are who I never even met before, they really loved the story and they loved the theme and the message, and they really wanted to buy this, to not just to carry themselves, but to give away to people, because it just has a great message. Make the most of today. Carpe diem. Seize the day. I show the original artwork that I got from my artist. This was the original piece that I milled for myself at home. I have a little milling machine, so I took a piece of solid brass and I machined this out of brass, and that was the picture that I put up on Instagram, where people were like, "Oh my God, how do I get one of those?" And then,
importantly, how do you do that?
Yeah, right. Then I talk a little bit more about the memento mori. I think I tell how I was at the Metropolitan Museum in New York, and I saw this. Like from the 1500s, it's like a rosary, a memento mori rosary, and it shows like a face on one half and a skull on the other half, and it basically kind of shows people on one side of these things, and then on the other side it shows them as a skeleton. And I just was fascinated by that. Again, I've always liked skulls myself, so this just fascinated me, and that got me to think of, so this is a piece that I machined this out of just a solid chunk of brass. And the concept here was that, here's kind of an ironclad riveted box, but part of it broke away, and it's just showing this. So it's not as secure as you might think. So the box is your life, and, and then, not that far under the surface is, something that, could be tragic or whatever that takes that away from you. So you just, need to really remember, make the most of every day. So then I go into my pledge levels and I explain exactly again. So for every pledge level, what are you going to get? If you pledge $16, you can get one of any of these three finishes. If you pledge $30, you can get any two finishes you want. Again, pledge $52, you get any four. So I just basically came up with a whole list of pledge levels. The silver coin, $65 for the solid silver coin. So that just walks people through. And then I included, because it was funding so successfully early on, I'm like, God, I want to give everybody a little something extra. So I told everybody, as a thank you for all the support and all the backing that was happening, I created a sticker pack. And so every single person that backed the campaign gets a sticker pack. So there's the Carpe Diem sticker, and then there's this sticker. And that gets thrown in with every single order. And then I knew I wanted to sell these leather sleeves, so I wanted to make sure that people knew that there were going to be these add-ons. And then I also, as part of the survey, wanted to include all of the products that are in the campaign as add-ons, so you could add whatever else on to your order if it wasn't included in your particular pledge level. And so then I show these leather sleeves that my buddy Greg makes, and how that the pieces would fit. And then I also decided I would offer my original Carpe Diem coin as an add-on, and give people some instructions on how to do the add-ons. And then really important, I found in looking at all the different campaigns that I reviewed and wanted to make sure I had it in mind, was a timeline of exactly what was going to happen when. So I launched the campaign December 18. So it goes for 30 days. So it's going to end January 17th. It takes about 2 weeks for Kickstarter to actually collect all the funds and send you the money. So you don't want to send out your survey until those 2 weeks go by, and you make sure you have all the money from Kickstarter. Then once the surveys are out, you need to wait a couple of weeks for everybody to get back to you with their results of what particular finishes they want, what add-ons they want. And then I underestimated a tiny bit, maybe by a week or so, getting everything back from the manufacturer. And then I knew I was going to need to package a ton of stuff. So I built in another 2 weeks for me to package everything. And then I used a fulfillment service. So I sent everything off to a company that was then going to ship everything out to my backers. That's another decision you need to make. Are you going to ship everything yourself? I thought maybe early on I'd ship everything myself. And then when I realized I had 850 backers in 30 different countries, I didn't want to ship everything myself.
Right.
They always suggest that you talk about the risks and the challenges for the backers so they know what they're getting into. So I basically said this was my first Kickstarter project, so there may be a few challenges I haven't fully thought through, but felt confident in my ability to deliver for a number of reasons. You know, I've already made these products and had been selling them to people. You know, I've been running this small e-commerce company where I've sold many everyday carry items over the past few years. So basically, you know, laid out that. On the right-hand side of the thing, these are basically what the backers are going to see as the pledge levels, and it basically gives them, you know, for each one, for example, you know, like this one, pledge $65 or more for the coin. You know, ships anywhere in the world, and then you know, there would be a button here to back this pledge, you know, or pledge at this level. And so that's basically, you know, how, you know, I found, you know, most of the best Kickstarter campaigns were laid out, and how I decided to do mine. Again, the video took me about a month to make the video. I had to teach myself some editing software. I had to find and buy from Adobe a bunch of stock video and stock photos to use in my video, and then just the process of, you know, and then I had to find a lot of different background noises and background music. Then I had to edit all that together. It was a lot of fun, but it took me about a month to get the video done in order to launch the campaign. So that's let me see. So launch. Oh, so the other things to think about as you launch your campaign, you know, again, engage with your backers, you know, often throughout the campaign. Kickstarter provides an opportunity to send updates. So anybody who's backed the campaign gets these updates when you send them out through Kickstarter. And I did quite a few updates, actually, and it's really nice as a backer, because I've backed a number of other Kickstarter projects. It's really nice to get, I'll put this back to, let me stop the share for a second so you can see my face. I always enjoy kind of, now that the campaign is over and the money's been collected, you know, they've taken the money from my, you know, bank or credit card account or whatever. It's nice to get regular updates of how things are going and when I should be expecting my product. Yeah. So I made sure I did that, you know, pretty regularly. Every couple of weeks or so, I'd get another update out, and also show them new things that I'm thinking about doing to try to keep them engaged as future customers. You know, again, while the campaign's running, you know, be sure you're getting the word out everywhere possible. Post on Facebook, post on Instagram, Twitter, you know, alert your friends and family so you can get people to share. One of the great things about Kickstarter then is if you know people that have done successful Kickstarter campaigns in the past, and I knew several in this community of people, this everyday carry community, they can do an update to all of their past backers and bring your campaign to their attention. Nice. So you start cross-promoting people's campaigns, you know, and then in one of my updates, I might put, you know, at the bottom, you know, oh, by the way, my friend's running this really great campaign for this product, go check it out. So you can start to really kind of cross-promote your Kickstarter campaigns with friends. I mentioned paid ads. You know, I did some paid advertising on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not sure it helped much. It's really hard. I'm not very good at, you know, you're gonna laugh when I say that. I'm not very good at the analytics of of tracking the success of the paid ads, and that's funny to Elena and Jonathan, because Jonathan and I were two of the founders of the consulting firm that we worked with Elena at, that did nothing but business intelligence and analytics. But now in my later years, I'm terrible at analytics. So then at the end of the campaign, so your campaign's done, keep posting the updates, you know, make sure people know kind of what's happening and you know, how your manufacturers are doing, and are you starting to receive product yet? You know, when you're going to be starting to ship, all of that. People love just to be in the know. And then I talked about using the third-party backer.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah.
So basically, when your campaign's over, you have to send a survey out to all your backers to confirm their addresses, to to, if they have to make any decisions on variations of product, like if you had a t-shirt, you need to know what size do they need, all that kind of stuff. Oh. So what that looks like, well, first, before I do that, one thing that's really kind of cool is that you can...
the concept of the add-ons, right? Does that happen through this?
The add-ons, yeah, but what I was going to show, the pre-orders. So as soon as the campaign's over, and even while the campaign's running, you can create on the Backer Kit site, and I'm sure through the other services as well, a pre-order link so that people, if they don't want to back you through Kickstarter, they can just go ahead and pre-order your items. So if I look at, that's the link to my so I created a pre-order store, which basically, shows, how much at the time, whenever someone looks at this, it shows how much is raised on Kickstarter, how much is being raised in Backer Kit. And then it's like a store. It's like going shopping online, and people can pre-order any of the pieces they want. The leather sleeves were all add-ons, the coins, the Tempest Fuji Curios, and then, I had my other coin and a couple of finishes, and then they could buy the sticker packs as well. Even though everyone gets one free, you could order more sticker packs. Mm-hmm. So this concept of a pre-order store was great because, like I said, Kickstarter showed I had 793 backers, but I really ended up with, I guess, around 830 backers. So, I brought in another 40 backers through this pre-order store, which is great.
And the pre-order store, I noticed, also says Backer Kit. So is that actually part of the Backer Club?
No. Backer Club is something entirely different. No,
okay.
Backer Kit is a company out of San Francisco that offers this survey service. So I was going to show what the survey actually looks like. So it's great. The Backer Kit makes it so easy to enter all your products, to create SKUs for all your products, to create all the questions that you need to ask to get the information you need, and then once it's all set up, you can actually preview what a backer will see. So let's say I'm a backer of Kickstarter, and let's say I backed the steel pack for all 3 pieces. Okay, I pledged $125, and I pledged for this steel pack, and I'm going to be in the United States, and I'm going to preview what a backer that actually paid the exact amount during the campaign would see. So then, boom. So I click Preview Survey. So this is exactly what they'll see. When the campaign's over and I send my surveys out, they're going to get an email with a link that brings them to this, and it's going to say, hi, Joe Smith, thanks for supporting the campaign. You pledged $128. The pledge level was $125, and this is because I charged $3 for domestic shipping. So the pledge level was the $125. So let's get started. So you click Get Started, and it says question 1, and over here on the right, it shows what the questions are going to be. So the first one is, okay, so you're going to get these 3 pieces. One of them's the coin. What finish do you want? Antique bronze, antique silver, or copper? You get to choose from those 3 finishes. So let's say, okay, I want antique silver. Then boom, the backer is going to say next. And then it's going to say, okay, you also get a steel Tempest Fuji Curio. Do you want bronze steel, gray steel? So say, okay, I want the bronze steel, one of those. And then say next, and then it says, okay, and there's your Memento Mori stone and steel. Maybe I want the gray steel, one of those. And next, add-ons. So now it says, okay, now what else do you want? Oh boy, I can buy some more coins. I can buy, some
it's a great upsell. I like it.
It's a big upsell at the end for people, and that's where most of that $20,000 extra came from, was people saying, well, I want 4 more coins to give to friends, and I want the leather sleeves, to put all my pieces in. So then they do that, and then they can add whatever they want to the cart, and then when they're finished, boom, it tells them that they've spent all their money and they picked it they need to pick, and then they confirm your shipping address, and so then all that information is all captured, and then when it comes time to do fulfillment, they make it really easy as well. So the first thing I had to do was let me go back. So first thing I had to do was figure out what I needed to order. So boom, I go to counts, and it shows me how many pieces were ordered of every single SKU I had, or every single, item name I had. And so I know exactly how many pieces I need to order. Of course, you always order some extra because there's always going to be some errors in shipping or whatever. And I wanted to have more to put up on a website afterwards because, I'm going to have people now finding out about these things and wanting to buy more. And then when I picked my fulfillment center, if they're a good fulfillment center, they can integrate directly with your backer kit. So you just give them, you set them up as like a partner or whatever on your backer kit. And so my fulfillment guys just log right into backer kit, and they download everything they need to print all the labels and ship everything out pretty fast.
Nice.
And then they charge you a fee for picking and shipping each item. So I organized everything, into the each product set, sent it all off to them, and then they just started shipping for me. And it, for the most part, it all went very smoothly.
Yeah.
So I was really happy with that. So that's kind of everything I had to go through. The one last thing I would just say is, again, be wary of lots of unsolicited emails coming in. So you're going to get a ton of people that want to sell you advertising. You're going to get a ton of people that want to ship your product for you. And you just got to figure out, up front, what do you want to do? Because it's real easy to start saying, oh yeah, maybe I'll spend $300 on advertising with this place to see what happens, and another $200 here. Before you know it, you spend $1,000 in advertising, and if you are terrible at analytics like me, you don't know if it did any good.
How much of that is eating into your profits? Well,
right.
That's really cool. So in this case, your Kickstarter was really, truly pre-selling the product.
Yep.
But not all Kickstarters are like that, right? Some Kickstarters are specifically to just raise funds, for example.
Yeah. They'll say, we want to, we have an idea for this invention. We're sure we can make it work, but we need to invest in, this sort of, equipment to create these parts, and we need, to maybe partner with this place to do some whatever development and testing, but at the end of the day, we're sure we can deliver, and we need help. So some of them are just a matter of, some independent artists wanting to put out an album or put out a documentary or put out a book, and they're, I need to raise money to, be able to create this whatever.
Right.
As a means of fundraising. So, hey, Jim, I got a series of questions for you. Before I get started, I just want to pull this out. This has been sitting in my pocket, and I carry it every day.
Nice.
You'll see that it's got a nice patina. I use it as a worry stone, so it works out quite well. So, great story and process that you went through. As you were discussing it, the first thing that came to mind was, how much time did you spend upfront preparing? Because it sounds like there's a lot of activity. And again, basing this on your success.
I mean, I didn't quantify all the time that I put into it. I'd been thinking about it for probably a year. I've always wanted to do a Kickstarter. And then when I saw the success of these pieces that I was having made one-off by Shapeways, and if I went to a knife show and threw some out on a table, guys wanted to buy them. I was putting them up on my little e-commerce site that I created, and people were buying them. So I knew I had something that people would buy for sure. And when I finally made the decision to do it, I would say I spent probably 2 months preparing before I launched in the middle of December.
Okay, so that's a good gauge. Knowing that you had interested buyers was one thing, but getting to the success level that you enjoyed. So, clearly you had set a target, but you vastly exceeded that target, and that's got to be attributed to a number of factors. It's probably reaching out to, all your contacts. What are some of the things that you did to help drive traffic for that initial launch? I think it's really important.
Yeah, it is. And so one of the things I did was I started kind of priming the pump by putting pictures up on my Instagram of, hey, I'm going to have a Kickstarter soon for these products that, I've been selling. but I want to be able to, kind of get them out to the masses, at better prices. And then also what's really, really helpful is if you have a product that meets the kind of the needs or the wants of a particular community of people. I'll just think of an example, like maybe you have something that quilters would use, right? You have a new product for cutting fabric or whatever. So there's a huge community of people that sew and people that quilt out there. And, where can you find them? Facebook. You go to Facebook and you start doing searches on groups. So for me, it was searching on, and I was already a member of most of these, but, everyday carry groups, guys that are, it's like an EDC addicts group, so it's guys that just love putting up pictures every day of what's in their pocket, their flashlight, their knife, their keychain, their pen.
Padded pockets, man.
Yeah, right. So I basically started going out to, all these groups and posting information there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just kind of kept priming the pump, and then as soon as I launched, I made sure that everybody knew it was live, and then a lot of people would repost for me, and that's the other beauty of social media, is you get people on Instagram saying, hey, go check out my friend Jim's Kickstarter. It's I can't wait.
Word of mouth spreads quick in Instagram.
Yeah. Well, if I recall correctly, you did an outstanding job priming the pump, because didn't you hit your goal within a real short period of time?
I think it was like a day. By the second day, I passed the $4,000. Yeah.
Right. Which meant there was a lot of field work up front, priming that pump and getting it going. Yeah. So I think that's one important element of success. Obviously knowing your target market, communicating with them, and priming that pump.
Yeah. And again, I can't emphasize the importance of finding other people that have done Kickstarter campaigns that have large backer communities already of their own, especially if they're in the same kind of genre of community, to have them promote your campaign to all of their backers. And I had several people do that for me. So that these are people that are already comfortable and familiar with spending money on Kickstarter, because they've done it with these other friends of yours. So if they can promote your campaign, boom, you just hit a whole nother audience.
So what did you do? Did you reach out to them?
Yeah.
Saying, hey, I'm about to launch, or you probably complimented them on their Kickstarter campaign, and then from there, a couple of them happened to be really good friends of mine. I just said, and it really started by, picking their brains about doing a Kickstarter. It's like, hey, Mike, you've done a couple of really successful Kickstarters. I'm thinking of doing one. What do I need to know? So if you know someone who's done one, by all means, before you launch yours, ask them as many questions as you can. And then, the last question should be, if they don't offer it, the last question should be, oh, by the way, would you mind, promoting my campaign?
Cross-promoting, yeah.
Got it.
I also noticed there was an email list for the campaign you mentioned at some point.
Yeah, so basically, and there's a good article on BackerKit on their website for doing this, or it's part of they send it out as part of their blog or their newsletter. But to basically create, so I had set up this e-commerce company a couple of years ago. I called it Golden Gate Goods, and I was selling the pieces that I had originally designed and was having made, one-off. I'd get them in small batches and I'd sell those. And then I was selling other things to the everyday carry community through that website. So from running that website for a few years, I had built up a pretty good list of customers that I had all their email addresses. So I basically, and I use MailChimp for email, for doing newsletters, both for my knife company, Giant Mouse Knives, and then for my other company. And so I basically just put together, found as many email addresses that I could from my existing customer list, just kind of friends and family in my contacts list. I went through my whole email contacts list on Outlook, and just kind of put everybody into this email distribution list to make sure I was blasting as many people as I could to say, hey, I'm doing this. I put a thing up on LinkedIn even, under my LinkedIn profile, because I've got like 500 people on LinkedIn that are connected to me. I put an update on LinkedIn so that people would hopefully find it there, and a number of people did. So
Nice.
anywhere you can. I don't Twitter much. I really don't get Twitter, but I did do a little bit of stuff on Twitter, and even that. It's an interesting site that I don't get at all, but my 21-year-old son is on it every day, is Reddit. And Reddit is huge for these communities of people. And so I did put a few things out on Reddit. And I need to figure out Reddit even more because there's a great audience there for our knife brand that we're not hitting really right now.
Mm-hmm.
The blogger's dream. Every millennial I talk to is on Reddit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. Hey, how about some lessons learned? Through this process, what are some of the lessons that you learned about that campaign?
Yeah. Okay. I would say, when you're putting your timeline together, figure out what the most conservative possible, delivery date is for you to achieve, and then add 2 or 3 weeks more onto that, because people don't mind waiting for Kickstarter product if they have the expectation up front of when it's going to come.
Right.
But if you're aggressive on your timeline and you say they're going to get product by a certain date and then they don't, you start getting quite a few comments and contacts, people saying, when is it shipping? When is it shipping? And it's like, God, I wish I would have given myself an extra cushion of 2 or 3 more weeks right up front when I laid out my campaign, because it wouldn't have impacted the number of backers at all, I don't think, and it would have given me much more breathing room. Lesson learned, I think, was, I could have saved a lot of money if I had shipped everything myself, but you need the time to do that. And again, you'd have to build that in, because to ship out 800 and some odd packages, I would have had to add another couple of few weeks onto my
Right.
I guess I learned that, if I do another Kickstarter, I probably won't pay for any advertising, unless maybe just a couple of, you can run some ads. You can boost your posts on Facebook and on Instagram for $10 here, $20 there.
Yeah.
I might do some more of that, but I'm not going to pay XYZ organization to promote my campaign for me for $359 or whatever, because I just had no way of knowing, did that even help at all, or so I'd save the money there. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to, that was a lesson learned. Just to know that when your fulfillment center, if you use one, when they ship everything out, they're going to make some mistakes. Out of 850 packages, I probably had a dozen where someone got the wrong item, or they got or they didn't get an item they were supposed to get. But my fulfillment center was great, because I just forward those emails back onto them, and they would send the right item out. If they got the wrong item, they'd send the right item out, and they'd send out a return shipping label for the person to send the wrong item back. So they really made it very easy for me. That was about it. The other thing I learned was that it was a ton of fun, and I'm really looking forward to doing another one.
Yeah, sounds like it. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
So I have a question for you just about the fulfillment piece. Can you kind of give an idea for this 850 people that got product? What was the price tag around that, for your fulfillment company? Just ballpark. Because I know your stuff was kind of going all over the world, so I'm kind of curious.
Trying to remember. Let me see if...
Of course, I ask you a detailed question. Shame on me.
I want to say, because I collected. I think I remember kind of where it came in. I collected shipping costs from all of my backers. So if you were domestic in the U.S., it was $3, and I kind of based that off of what I knew the weight was going to be for the packages and what I knew I could ship it for. And then I know that these fulfillment centers end up getting like wholesale shipping prices from the shippers, from like the USPS or UPS or whatever. And one of the ways they do that is they batch all the shipments by location. So they'll take like all of the orders that came in from, say, New England, and they'll label them all, and then they'll batch them up into one giant box and ship that off like by UPS to like a substation somewhere or a sort facility in New England, and they'll open that box and pull all the individual packages out and then ship them all from there. Right. So there's savings that they can get that, me as an individual just wouldn't be able to get. Mm-hmm. So to answer the question, it was so I collected $3 from everybody for domestic and $12 from everybody to cover the international. And then so I had all the money that people were paying for shipping already. Because I knew I was going to have to pay the fulfillment center for all of the shipping costs and also for their service of picking and shipping and labeling everything. I think the total bill from them came in at around $4,200 maybe. I was actually pretty happy with that because I wasn't sure what to expect, and I was thinking, God, if it's under 5,000, that would be awesome. And, I'm thinking maybe it's going to be 6,000 or 7,000 to have everything shipped. But it was about like 4,300, I think.
That's
okay. So your estimate covered the cost of what you collected? I'd have to go back and do the analysis on that. Okay. No.
At least a portion of it sounds like that would have covered the fulfillment on those 850 people. So that's a good point. If it's an actual physical product that has to be sent out, then doing some pre-analysis to make sure you collect enough to at least break even on the shipping side is probably really important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, I'm taking a look at the time.
Yeah, we're finishing right on time. What I wanted to do really quickly was just kind of thank everybody for watching, and I'm also going to share my screen again really quickly because I want to bring you back to the page that you originally signed up for this webinar on. Hopefully you can see Jim's picture up there. Can you guys see that? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Okay, so just at the bottom of this registration page, so this is on our ashleytrainingonline.com website, it talks about what we talked about today, but also what's there is a few things that might come in really handy for you when you're thinking about doing this kind of campaign. Obviously, as a training company, I need to bring your attention to some of the training we offer. And we do have a whole course on crowdsourcing available. So all of the related courses are along the bottom, but there are some definitely handy ones, social media, which Jim talked about, and really priming that pump, as he put it, talking on social media about what you're going to be doing. So there's a course on that in case you're not familiar with all the different areas and different ways that you can build your brand. Obviously, just the sales process, and then, of course, digital marketing, which becomes part of what you're going to need later. So, for example, Jim mentioned, let me just stop that share here. Jim mentioned really quickly when he was going through this that now these products are going onto a regular e-commerce site that would then, continue selling these products. So that's where some of these additional items come into play, where you're going to need to understand digital marketing and how to continue to build momentum for your product. So, Jim and Jonathan, I want to just thank you so much for joining us today and for presenting this awesome Kickstarter thing. I never would have thunk it, even though I actually offer courses on our platform for this stuff. I would never have actually ventured out into doing one of these without some help from friends. So I really appreciate you guys coming on the platform today and talking about this. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Very good.
All righty.
Yeah. Good job, Jim.
Is it okay if I put your email in the chat, Jim, in case anybody has any follow-up questions for you?
Yeah. That's
All
fine.
right. So you are J Wirth?
No.
No?
Marin _Jim.
Marin, MARIN _Jim.
At hotmail.com.
At hotmail.com. Awesome. And Jonathan, how about you? Are you willing to put out your email as well?
I think Jim is the star attraction here, so I'm just the sideshow questioner.
The questions guy. No worries,
Yeah.
no worries. So if anybody has any questions for anybody else, of course, you can always get back to me. And I am Elena at Ashley Consulting, if I could type, llc.com. And we are done for today. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.